Today, I'm going to show you guys how to fix a flat tire. Now, this tire belongs to a friend of mine that goes on his Chevy Suburban. And he was out in South Dakota a few months ago and ran something over and he got a flat. Well, he had to pull over and put his spare on, and he's been driving on it ever since. So recently I offered, hey, I'll fix your flat tire for you. And so that's what we're going to do today. And I figured I'd record it and show you guys how I do it. All right, so let's take a look at the tools we're going to use to fix this flat tire. Here I have my tire plug kit that I have in my vehicle that I carry with me at all times. It's made by Safety Seal. It's made in the USA. It's a super high quality kit. It's a tool that unless you lose it, you'll have this your entire life. It's metal handles, sturdy, burly metal handles. And it's got a ring here that helps hold the plug in once you pull the plug out. I'll show you how that works later. And then I carry a pair of side cutters. These work great for cutting off the excess plug when you're finished, and they also work great for getting in there and the tire if you've got a screw or a nail head. This gets in the rubber, and you can get underneath that nail head or that screw head and walk that screw or nail out with these. These basically work as a cutters and a pliers. And then of course we've got the plugs themselves. Now these plugs here, I believe it or not, there is a difference in plug quality. These plugs here are made in the USA. They've been around. This company, this is the industry standard when it comes to tire plugs. Any tire shop or mechanic shop or any repair shop, service guy, this is the brand of tire plugs that they're going to carry. They've been around forever. I worked in a little gas station repair shop 30 years ago when I was in high school. This is the kit that we used. I have personally installed thousands of these plugs. And then anyway, so then we'll go on to now a little 12-volt air compressor. This isn't necessary 100% to carry with you, but it's nice to have with you if your tire is completely flat. This here, it just plugs into your cigarette lighter. And I like this particular one here because the end of the hose, it screws on to your valve stem where the valve stem cover normally goes on the tire. And so you can put it on there and walk away. You don't have to hold it on. And yeah, some of these other little cheapy pumps have like a fold down lever that's supposed to lock it onto the valve stem, but they always seem to let go. This pump works pretty good. But anyhow, you don't have to carry a 12-volt pump with you, but it is nice to have if your tire's completely flat. If you come out of work or come out of the shopping mall and you find your tire is low, you might be able to get a plug in it and still have enough air to drive to a gas station that has an air compressor, and you can fill it up. But if it's completely flat when you find it, or when you come upon your flat tire, if it's completely flat, no air at all, you're going to need to put some air in it. But these are the tools that I carry in my personal vehicle at all times. And the air compressor does come with this little carrying case, which is kind of nice, I guess. All of these tools will usually fit down in the spare tire well with your spare tire. So once these are in your vehicle, they're out of sight, out of mind until you need them. But I just wanted to show you some alternatives to this professional kit, which isn't very much money compared to what you're getting. But like, here's a really, really cheap kit. I think this was maybe like $3. And then there's another kit here that I think this one was I think it was $6 or maybe $10. I don't remember exactly. But I'm going to give this kit to my friend whose tire we're plugging today, because if he would have had this with him, he would have still been driving on it. He would never even have put the spare on. But here's what scares me about these kits. And I don't know this. I've never experienced this personally. I've heard about it. These plastic handles, if you were really getting in there, putting some torque on one of these or some pressure on one of these plastic handles they're kind of brittle, and they can crack and break off, and then you got this shaft that could get impaled right into your hand, which that's not going to be good. But and then the other thing, I was watching a video not too long ago where a guy was plugging a tire, and I think he was using this exact same kit. And when he put the plug in and then pulled it out, this tip was spread wide open. Like, I'm exaggerating. It was probably a 1/4 inch wide open. And what I'm getting at is, I believe the shaft of these tools, they're almost like chrome-plated plastic. These are really, really weak tools. And his tip spread open and stayed open when you put that plug in. Well, as you can see with the goo on this one, I've used this tool several times, and it's still perfect on the end. I don't know if you can see that. It's still perfect on the end. It's not been split. It's a proper tool. So now, if I was stranded somewhere and all I had was one of these, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to be on the road driving home. I'm not going to be stuck anywhere. But these, to me, are a last resort. For the money of one of these kits, I couldn't see not having one of these in my vehicle. So let's get on to plugging that tire. I'll show you how it's done. All right, so first I must say, this type of plug repair can be done with the tire on the vehicle. You do not need to remove the tire from the vehicle. If this is on a truck and you've got all sorts of room, you got a big wheel well and you got room to work up here, it's always nice to do the plug repair on the top of the tire because you can push down. If this was on a front tire location on a vehicle, front tire that's steered, and if the fender was in the way, you can turn the tire so that it sticks out past the fender and you can work on it this way. Or you could turn it this way so it sticks out past the rear part of the tire sticks out past the fender. You could work on it over here. If this was on a rear location and it was a tight wheel well, you couldn't get up to the top, you would have to roll the car forward or backward till the hole location is between the fender and the ground. And I'll put up a little picture here showing what I'm talking about. There's a sweet spot there where you can get in between the ground and the fender and come up at an angle and put the plug in that way. But anyhow, I've already got some air in this tire, and you could probably hear it leaking. And I've got I've got the reamer tool stuck in there so we don't have to listen to the air. It was making a bunch of noise, and I don't want to have to listen to that on camera. So anyhow, so all we do, once you get the reamer in there, and this is nice for finding the plug path and for making sure that there's no foreign matter like a screw or a nail still stuck, pieces of it stuck in there. And so once you get that in, leave it in. That's just less air you got to put back in it later. And just peel off the plug here. And then you just get it started through the hole there. If you can see that. I'm trying to keep it in camera shot. You just get her started. And you don't need gloves for this. I just have them on because this tire is kind of dirty. And you get it till it's about at the halfway point. Just so it's about half a plug on each side of the needle. And then pull the reamer out, stick the plug in the hole until it stops. Now this is where this particular tool has this extra collar on it, where the other ones don't. So this collar here, if you can see, you hold down with your fingers, hold that down, and pull out on the needle, the insertion tool, and this little collar helps hold the plug in the hole. Not that you need it, but if it was a big hole and a loose-fitting plug, whatever. I've seen guys talk about, using a razor blade and shaving these down, shaving it off so it's flush. I just come in here with my side cutters, cut off as much as I can, and the rest of that just gets wore down as you're driving down the road. 30 years ago, when service stations were still in existence, we had a tow truck, we had 3 full-time mechanics, we put in tire plugs, we were located on a busy highway, and man, we had a steady stream of cars coming into our shop off that highway with low tires. And I'd put in 3, 4, 5 plugs per shift. We never had a problem. We never had anybody call and complain, hey, their tire went flat again, or their tire's still leaking. We never once had a problem. Anyhow, this particular tire probably isn't long for this world. It needs to be replaced anyway, and he'll maybe just put new tires on the Suburban anyway. I don't think he plans on using this again. It was more for demonstration purpose for this video. But here's the thing with tire plugs. I've been putting them in for 30 years. I know other people have been doing them for their entire life. Never had a problem. The people in the tire industry don't like tire plugs because they say it's not a permanent repair. Well, if there's a hole in this tire, a real thin microscopic layer of patch glued to the inside of the tire, because they prefer to patch tires, that little microscopic thin layer of rubber glued to the inside of this tire is not going to build integrity back into the tire. Once the hole is there, no matter how you look at it. I will say, though, if you have driven on a flat tire or an extremely low tire, the only way to know, not only way, but generally the only way to know if you've done severe permanent tire damage is to take the tire off the wheel and inspect the inside of the tire. That's the telltale. Now, with all that said, if I was out in the middle of the desert, southwest United States, and I'm 100 miles from the nearest town, and maybe that town doesn't even have anybody with a tire, that can do a tire repair, I would certainly rather be driving with a tire plug and fill my tire up with air with a little 12-volt compressor and be on the way than sitting on the side of the road hoping and wishing somebody could come and help me. This tire plug is far better than being stranded in the desert in the middle of the night with nobody around 100 miles from nowhere. So anyway, it's just something to think about. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Would you do a tire plug on your tire? Would you carry a tire plug kit in your car? Or would you just rather wait for roadside assistance to come give you a hand? And speaking of roadside assistance, boy, have I got some stories about that. I worked in that industry on and off for almost 30 years, starting when I just graduated high school. And I've worked everything from being a hired driver to being a business owner, from doing light-duty roadside assistance service calls all the way up to heavy-duty towing and recovery. I mean, I've done pretty much everything in that business. And I will tell you that if you're in a bad way and you think you got roadside assistance, that gives you kind of a false sense of security because roadside, well, I'm not going to that's a whole nother video. If you want to hear the dirty little secrets of roadside assistance industry, let me know and maybe I'll make a video telling all those dirty little secrets. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please give me a comment below and please consider subscribing. And thanks for watching.